Hi guys, Nomis here. Welcome back to Nomishavn for episode number 33. Today I'm heading over to start off a whole new district, one that grew out largely during the 1970s with tons of housing projects. Before we build it out, I'm going to do a transit hub for suburban train and metro lines in a very brutalist style to fit the look of this district. This district is called Rosengaard, a name it has had for centuries back when it was just a small village that later got incorporated into the city-state of Nomishavn. For a long time it was a pretty rural area, mostly filled by large farmlands and some industrial sites, mostly warehouses and smaller rail yards, as well as the farmlands. There's been a few smaller neighborhoods further out where the trains just passed by this area, but with the rise of housing projects in the 1970s, this new transit hub got built where they all interline together before splitting out to the end stops. To start off, I need to get in all the station tracks, and to plan this out I had to go through the city and figure out which lines on the suburban trains and metros would pass through here, and also how they were moving in terms of elevation. So that left me with 4 elevated train tracks, and past that 4 sunken metro tracks and 2 sunken train tracks. After getting these in, I'll just start adding the platform networks with IMT, some asphalt surface ones, just to fit with the brutalist style, and lots of concrete walls around. To the front of it all, I placed down a building from the Railroads of Japan Content Creator Pack, one of the rail yard shopping center I believe it's called. This will function as both a mall and a station building. I know it has lots of Japanese writing and branding on it, but I will sort out that with some bit detailing later on, covering it up with something else. Something I like to do on the end of train and metro platforms that I often see in real life stations is curve them to make a very narrow end. I'm not completely sure of the exact reason for this, but I believe it is a safety feature for passengers not to wander off to the edge where you can get down to the tracks. A pretty simple way I found to do this is using the range tool with an IMT when placing decorative networks. When adjusting the shift value it determines how far away it is from the attached network. You just hit the symbol to set the range, which is the two arrows pointing away from each other. Then you can turn the shift value higher at the end of the decorative networks, and it curves in at the edge like you will see in the video here. To cover up the gaps at the end, I just use some ploppable asphalt surfaces at the end. To get onto and between the platforms, I create these elevated concourses, which have escalators and elevators leading down to the platforms. The path I just drag through the buildings in front so that we'll see people enter through the station through it. It takes a bit of time to get to the different parts of the escalators lined up, but it looks so cool when it is animated like this. And then I'll just align the path right above it, so that I can upgrade this part to an invisible path later on. The elevators will be mostly decorative. I use this nice asset from the workshop, which is a little too big, so I use procedure objects to cut it in half. I do actually make some elevators functional later on, just to get from the lower concourse up to the elevator platforms, but you'll see that later in the video. For decorating the platforms, I use the old reliable station display props and attach the double-sided blank platform signs to them and use procedure objects to write the platform number on them. I wanted a little more of an open look for the station, so instead of placing large shelter networks along the platforms, I use a number of smaller glass roof shelters dotted around, actually the tram shelters, with some seating groups under them. The number of shelters and seats is a little overkill and it doesn't look great, so later on I go into MT and just reduce the number to half of what I put there, and I think that looks a lot more appropriate and gives a little more breathing room on the platforms. At the edge of the platforms, I put in these small stairs and fences, which I believe in real life is access for maintenance work. Also adding in a little bit of overgrowth and signal lights along the tracks where it makes sense, in terms of the directions the trains take. When I look at real stations, I often see small clusters of these signal boxes, I believe they are. So I just use the signal equipment boxes from the Railroad of Japan, the concrete crater pack, and put them down along the edges of the platforms. To fill out the details further, I put in these advertisements I've used a lot in other stations. These are just local textures I put on an asset with procedural objects, and also just using the Oslo Metro map again to have some visual of a rail network map. And not to forget the station signs around. And this station will be called Rosengaard Center. The name has kind of a double meaning, being the center of the district of Rosengaard, as well as being the name of the shopping center that fronts the station. Just to get in some wayfinding for the people using the station, I put up these signs above all the escalators indicating which platforms they lead down to. Before I get to the final details of the station, I want to just build out the rail networks leading up to the stations and get all the platforms populated with lines. Some of them are extensions to existing lines, while some will be completely new lines, which will be extended in the future. Now you can kind of see the networks I had in my head, and why I had the number of platforms I did here, and also why I have a combination of sunken and elevated platforms. There might be small changes to the rail networks in the future, because we'll be adding more stations along them, but it's great to have the rough outline of them in so I can start getting lines in to this new station. I wanted to also lean a little into the eco-brutalism style for this station, so I added some wall vegetation to one of the concrete retaining walls. I think it really adds something cool. Where the sunken tracks come in from the tunnels, I wanted a more put together look of them. I added some tunnel assets above the metro tunnels and filled in gaps with the tunnel entrance blocks, and topped it off with ploppable pavement and a fence above. It left me with this empty concrete space at the tunnel entrance, so I thought it would look cool to add some sports parks on top of it. Just a little football pitch and some basketball courts. So the district of Rosengaard is known for having a very strong culture for street art and graffiti, in addition to hip-hop, skating, tattoo art and punk rock. To get this culture across, I want to start with covering the concrete walls along the rail trench with just tons of graffiti. This is something I've seen along the rail trenches in central Paris, and just love the look of it, and it felt very fitting for the culture I have in mind for this district. It's a visual theme I want to keep going in the whole district going forward. First off, I tried adding in graffiti props with IMT, and it worked out pretty well to start with, but a lot of the props were just too small to scale up enough in IMT, so I changed over to just placing them down manually and scaling up and placing them with procedural objects. It turns out this method was the bad one after all. I'm also adding in lots of trash props along the tracks and with IMT, trying to add in some randomness with probability and the rotation of them. Let's go ahead and decorate up this mall and station building that fronts the transit hub. As you can see, I've used a Japanese asset. I do think it really fits the vibe. I just need to cover up all the Japanese writing and branding. Simply just using some procedural object cubes with the concrete texture that I changed the color of. The entrance also has some Japanese writing, so I used some modular bottom floor shop assets that turned out perfect for this. And then tons of door props along where the Sims enter the station. When this is covered up, I add some branding for the shopping center and the transit. Adding in the hanging display props and merging them into the wall gave a really cool look where you can imagine you can see the departures of the whole station here. Because it is a shopping center, it needs a lot of shop branding on the wall to just give a sense of what shops are inside. Mostly a mix of Norwegian and international shop brands, like I've done in other shopping centers. Fill in the sides of the station building. I want to create a little area for shops deliveries on the left, and then to the right some platforms for buses, which I will get some use for in the future when the district spread out more out from the station and I need to get some bus feeder lines. I won't start building out a lot of the housing projects just as this video is getting a little long already, but I wanted to just fill out a little area right next to the station. These apartment towers I imagine will be the tallest buildings in the district, towering above everything. In my head this would be the first housing project that was built together with the station and was completed at the same time as it, while the rest of them were built shortly after the station opened. Just some more details around the towers will be a large parking garage, some more sports parks, as well as a skate park, and then more trash, graffiti and so on, to get across that gritty theme of the area.
Binging and faded to that same song, missing love, no motivation. Now my eyes, they been back on the prize. Can't go back where I was in my mind, cause it don't bring no shine. I pop out time to show face and give my people love. That's all I got and now I won't waste it, cause ain't in us here in this place enough. I know you like the way I pop out, let's go hit Lennox. Another week, another knockout, a different city. My partner whip a 7-4 now, he think he Wimby, but I'ma ride this Chevy Mally until it's empty. And Pastor don't take dirty money, I like it filthy. She my Achilles, I'm out for millies, not just for memories. Been on a mission, did I mention it before? I can't be slipping till I'm reaping what I sow. Keeping my rearview mirror empty when I'm riding out, cause ain't never worth risking this. How I'ma break bread with them, but my pockets down and my head ain't into this. That's why I gotta keep my hustle strong and not let them breathe too long. Never know who needs you, reaping without giving it seed to. I'm just seeing light when it's been years. Don't make no sense to me sometimes, but time and all it is.
So that is it for today's build. I hope you enjoyed it if you watched this far. I mentioned I spent quite a few episodes out there, so expect a lot more of this gritty style with brutalism and graffiti and everything that comes along with it. Likes, comments and subscribes are greatly appreciated and will help me grow this channel. I do have a Patreon now, in case you wish to support me further. As always, have a great rest of your day and stay tuned for some cinematics.